Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Looking forward to the time with you. I hope you all are doing well, having a good week so far. Let's wait for a few more people to come into the session and then we'll be able to get started. Good afternoon, Esther. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your time. So we're just waiting for a few more people to come in and then we'll be able to start soon. Today we're going to have our 8th graders to 12th graders. We'll also be welcoming some college students today. Students who are taking algebra and pre-calculus college classes are also welcome to join us today. We're looking forward to having a good hour together. So we're going to start with our 8th graders, and there are going to be questions in there from Algebra 1, Algebra 2 geometry, and some pre-calculus. And so a lot of what we're covering today will also be relevant to those who are in college. So I'll wait for a few more of us to join and then we'll get started. What's everyone working on in school right now? Esther, what are you learning in school right now? So do we have any 8th graders joining us right now? Do we have any 8th graders with us? We're going to start with your questions. Quadratic functions and equations. So I have a question that's relevant to what you had told me the last time. So once we get to Algebra 1, Algebra 2, we'll be able to answer some of your questions. Okay, so it's 1:02 Central Time, and so we're going to get started with our question. So we have the perimeter of a rectangle that measures x plus 7 inches by 7x minus 15 inches is 72 inches. What is the value of x? So we're looking at perimeter word problems. So we have a rectangle that measures x plus 7 inches by 7x minus 15 inches, and the perimeter of that rectangle is 72 inches. What value of x will make that statement true? What value of x will make this statement true? So the way we're going to walk through this is I'll give the question out there. Sometimes I like to read them to you just in case. Sometimes it's easier to understand the question when you hear it read to you. So I read out to you and then I give you a few moments to try it out and then we'll go ahead and walk through them together. So for 8th graders, anyone can actually walk through this because this question is relevant also in geometry. So if you're 8th grader to 12th grader, you can attempt this. The perimeter of a rectangle measures x plus 7 by 7x minus 15, and its perimeter is 72. What is the value of x? So we're trying to find the value of x. Okay, whenever I have word problems, especially in geometry, I like to see if I can draw the shape as much as possible. I try to draw it. So I'm just gonna draw this out so we can see what the rectangle looks like. So that's our rectangle. I'm going to make an assumption that this is 7x minus 15 and this is x plus 7. It doesn't matter which way you do it anyway. So the first thing you want to do once you've drawn your rectangle is you want to start with what you know. What you know is the perimeter is the sum of all the sides of a rectangle. We also can say is twice the length plus twice the width. And some may call it the breadth, but we just use width here. So twice the length plus twice the width is going to give you your perimeter. So now our length we have here L equal to 7x minus 15, and this is our width. So what we're going to now do is our perimeter is 72. I'm going to write 72 here. Twice the length is 2 multiplied by 7x minus 15 plus twice the width. The width is x plus 7. So now we're going to simplify. We're going to distribute the 2 into our length and our width and simplify the expression that we get from that. So 2 multiplied by 7x, we have 14x minus 30 plus 2x plus 14. So now let's group common terms together. So 14x plus 2x minus 30 plus 14. So we can keep writing 72 here just so that we don't forget that. So this is going to be 16x minus 16. And so now we're going to solve this equation for x. So this is really the goal. All of this is to try to get us to create an equation that looks like this. 16x minus 16 equal to 72. So let's go ahead and solve that. We're going to add 16 to both sides. So this is going to give us 88 equal to 16x. So the next step after that is to divide both sides by 16. We're going to divide by 16. And so this is going to cross out. They're going to cancel each other out. And we can divide on this side, both sides, both numerator and denominator by 8. So we have 11, 2. So therefore, we can say that x is equal to 11 over 2. And you can write it as 5.5 inches. Actually, it's not in inches, it's just a variable. So x is 5.5, or you can also write it as or 5.5. So either one of these three will be fine for your answer. So just to recap, whenever you have a word problem, you always start with what you know, and then you try to build up from what you don't know until you get to your solution. Mofe, good afternoon. How are you? Thank you for joining. Also remember that as we walk through, you can ask any questions, or if there's a topic that is relevant to what you're learning in school and you're maybe confused about it or struggling with it, please feel free to let us know, and then we'll be able to also accommodate your request. So this is what we have for the perimeter. Are there any questions on this topic? Are there any questions on this question? Do you have any concerns? Do you want me to go over it again? If you want me to, that will be fine as well. Okay, let's go to the next question. This is Algebra 1, Algebra 2. This is something that Esther had requested the last time, so I wanted to make sure we addressed it early during this session. So we're looking at this quadratic. Okay, Ini, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. So we have this quadratic equation represented by f of x equal to negative 1/2 multiplied by x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 2. We want to graph this quadratic equation. So because it's a question that Esther had asked, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to walk through different steps. We're going to do a lot of transformation to get there. So let me draw a few graphs. Let me just put this together. We have graph here. We have another graph here. and then we're going to put another one here. Okay, let's have one here. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. So we're going to start with just this part of the graph, right? We're going to start from this part right here, from here to here. We're going to start from that, and we're going to identify the roots of this equation first. So how do you get that? X minus 4 equal to 0. We're going to add 4 to both sides. So x equal to 4. And then x plus 2 equal to 0. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. X equal to negative 2. So what we're going to now do is we're going to put these points on the graph. So we have x equal to 4. Let's make this 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. So we have 2 points. We have x equal to 4, which is this point right here. We have x equal to negative 2, this point right here. So here's a simple trick. When you're trying to calculate the y, when you're trying to get the y-intercept, you can just simply multiply negative 4 and 2. That's going to give you about negative 8. And so now we have all the points to draw the starting graph. So we have this right here. I'm going to try to be as straight as I can. So, and then we have this coming right about here. So that's just a rough sketch of the root graph. Now we have this negative right here. That shows that we're going to have a reflection. So we're going to have a reflection, and when you reflect, all the positives become negative and all your negatives become positive. So what we're going to now do is every part of our graph that is above the x-axis is going to come below the x-axis, and every part that is below is going to go above. So let's do that right here. We have negative 2, and then we have 4 right here. And so we're going to try to draw this graph so that we show a reflection. So we look at this part, negative 2, everything to the left of negative 2, you see it's above the x-axis. We're going to bring it below the x-axis. Every part from negative 2 all the way to 4 is below, so we're going to make it above. And also remember, because it's a reflection, your negative 8 is going to end up becoming, let me extend this line up here, is going to end up becoming positive 8. And then, so what we're trying to do here is we have to draw the graph such that that portion is going to be above the x-axis. So let me get this right. And so we're going to finish this right here, I guess. And then we have this also continuous. So this is our reflection. When you just remember, when you're reflecting a quadratic equation, or actually any equation, they just change positions in terms of the y value here becomes, the y value changes position. So here you can see that all our y values here are negative. So for that part of the graph, they're going to now become positive. Then you can see that our y values here are positive and also here are positive. So when you reflect, they're going to become negative. So that is the first part of, that's the second step. So the first step is to draw the starting graph. That's the first step. The second step is to do a reflection. And then here's a trick I always use with this type of transformation. We're going to do depends on how you look at it. It could be a stretch or a shrink. So what I'm going to do is I like to actually, because it's on the outside of the parentheses, I'm going to actually try to multiply all my y values by 1/2. So you look at 8 here, this is going to become 4. Then you look at 2, I'm going to have my 2 here, I'm going to write negative 2 here, and I'm going to have 4 here. So if you can make an estimation. So you can see here, let's assume this is 3, and I'm saying this is 6 roughly. So this is going to be 3, and so all that is happening is we're bringing it down and we're squeezing the graph. So you can see we're squeezing it by a factor of 1/2. So we have a squeeze right there. So it's going to look like this and like that, something like that. That's what it's going to look like. So this is what your graph is going to look like. Is you're going to first, let me walk through the steps again. The first thing, when you have it in this form, you want to first find out the root so you can find your x-intercepts, and then you plug that in, and then you want to find out your y-intercept. The easiest way to find your y-intercept is to first multiply these numbers together, and you're going to get your -8. So that gives you all you need to draw the graph. Generally, when you need to draw a graph, you just need the y-intercept and the x-intercept, and then you have all the points for your graph. So now you have this graph. This is your starting graph. Then here you have a reflection. You can actually do the 1/2 first. It doesn't matter. I like to do the reflection next. So you have a reflection, which means that all your positive y values become negative, and all your negative y values become positive. And then you have your shrink, and I call it a squeeze, because what's happening here is that all your y values are actually multiplied by 1/2, but your x values are unchanged. So you can see that we go down and then we get closer to the origin. That's really the idea. If this is plotted according to, if we're looking at exactly the same type of axis, but you can see here that it's just a rough estimate of what your graph is going to look like. So, do you have any questions? Do you want us to try another example of this question? Another example of this topic? Would you like another example? Okay, I'll keep checking in the chat. If you have any questions, okay. If there's any area, Esther, if there's any area where you need some more clarification, please just let me know and then I'll revisit it. That's not a problem. Okay, so the next one we have here is surface area. This is geometry, and this is also some 8th grade math. I actually got a question like this from an 8th grade test, so this is 8th grade, but it also shows up in geometry. Okay, so we have the surface area of the prism. We want to find the missing length here, the height of the prism. So what is the height of the prism? If we have the surface area and we have some dimensions of the prism. Let's start off with showing you what the surface area is. Surface area is going to be the perimeter of the base multiplied by the height plus twice the area of the base. So that's your starting point. That's all you need to get to your answer. So I'll give you a few minutes to see if you can come up with an answer, and then we'll go ahead and proceed. Okay, so let's proceed. We have the surface area of the prism is 448. So 448. Actually, I don't like that color. Let me use a different color. So we have 448. The perimeter of the base is going to be, so let's go ahead and find the perimeter of the base. Perimeter is 8 plus 10 multiplied by 2 because it's a rectangle. So this is going to be 2 multiplied by 18, which is 36. So perimeter of the base is 36 and our height is x. Okay, plus the area of the base is 10 multiplied by 8. So now we have 448 is equal to 36x plus 2 multiplied by 80 is 160. So now we're trying to find the value of x. So let's go ahead and subtract 160 from both sides. So we have 8 here. This is 14. This is 3. This is 8 and then 2. So this is going to be 36x. So 288 is equal to 36x. We're going to divide both sides by 36. Divide both sides by 36. And here you can simplify using you can use your calculator for this, or you can actually walk through it and use your calculator to confirm. I prefer to just walk through it on my own and then use the calculator to confirm that I did it the right way. And the reason why I do that is because when you get to SAT exams or ACT exams, you don't have a lot of time to be able to walk through everything with your calculator. So the more you can do without the calculator, the better for you. You actually have an added advantage over other students that depend on the calculator. So we're going to divide this by 2. I have 144 here. I have 18. Continue dividing by 2. I have 72. I have 9. So when you divide 72 by 9, what do you have? You have 8. So therefore, x is equal to 8 meters. So that is the value of x. So the height of this prism is 8 meters. All right. Any questions? Everyone clear about how to do this? You can do something like this on your own in the future. Okay. Okay, we have some more grade 8 math. Okay, so Julie started with 45 pieces of gum and gave away X pieces. Brad started with 75 pieces of gum and gave away 3 times as many pieces as Julie. How many pieces of gum did Julie give away if they had the same number of pieces of gum left? How many pieces of gum did Julie give away if they had the same number of pieces of gum left? Thank you, Ine, for your response. Appreciate the participants as many as Julie does. How many pieces of gum did Julie give away? I'll give you a few more minutes or moments to try this out, maybe 45 seconds to a minute, to see if you can. So how are you all doing with school? How's the online school going for you all? Okay, so let's see. It looks like we can go ahead and walk through this together. So Julie started with 75 pieces of gum, 45 rather. She started with 45 pieces of gum and gave away X pieces. So that tells you that we have some subtraction here. So she gave away 3X. How many pieces of gum did 75 minus 3X? So now we're asking for how many pieces Julie gave away. You notice that that is X. That we're walking through right now, there are videos on a channel. So please subscribe and you should have access to quite a few videos. Every session we have also is on the channel All our live sessions are on the channel, and I try to do about 5 to 6 new videos every week, so if they're okay, so let's go ahead and solve this together. We now have to make a decision on what we want to do with our x and with our variables and our constants. We can decide to I would choose to move the variables to the left hand side and the constants to the right hand side. We have 45 plus 2x is equal to 75. I'm seeing a message here from YouTube, so let me just quickly take a look at it. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do here is go ahead and subtract 45 from both sides. 45 minus 45. So 2x is equal to 30. We divide both sides by 2. And so x is equal to 15. So what this means is that Julie gave away 15 pieces of gum, and Bradley should have given away 45 pieces. So let's see if we're right, because we're told that after they gave away the number of pieces, they ended up with the same number of pieces of gum. So let's go ahead and look at, for Julie, we have 45 minus 15. This is 30. For Brad, we have 75 minus 15 multiplied by 3 is 45, which is equal to 30. So this is a way to check your answer when you're working with word problems. This is a way to check your answer after you have come up with the answer to your problem. So you use this to verify that the answer you have actually fits in with the statement of the question. Any questions on this? Any questions? Okay. Let's go ahead to another algebra question, I believe. So algebra 1, is there anyone here in algebra 1? Anyone here taking algebra 1 class? So let's look at this question here. It's saying, what is the equation of a line parallel to the line that joins points -5, 7 and 3, -9? It joins them together if that line passes through the point 1, -2. So we're focused here on looking for the equation of a straight line that passes through another line, or that is parallel, rather. It's parallel to a line that joins these 2 points, but the line that we're looking for also passes through the point 1, -2. So this type of question that I have here is actually quite common in SAT, ACT, and you would actually see this also in geometry. So it depends on your state. Some states actually spend some time in geometry reviewing some of these coordinate geometry questions that you learn in 8th grade and Algebra 1. So what is the equation of this line? The first thing you want to do is to find the slope. Let me give you a few things here. Conditions for parallel lines. Then we also need to remember the equation of a straight line. Equation of a straight line. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the slope. What is the slope of a line? So we have -5 and 7. We also have 3 and -9. So we need to find the slope. So I'm going to label this as x1, y1, x1, y1, x2, y2. So our slope, the slope of any line is the rise over run, so which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can also say y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. It doesn't matter which way you go about it, they'll get you to the same spot. So the slope of this line, y2, is -9. This is the most commonly used approach. This is the most commonly used one. This is also valid, and I can show that to you at a different time. So y2 minus y1, so -9 minus 7 divided by x2, 3 minus -5. So this is going to give you -16. -9 minus 7 is -16. And then 3 minus -5 is +8. So this is going to give you -2. So let me actually just show this to you. So y1 minus y2, y1 is 7 minus -9 divided by x1 minus x2, -5 minus 3. So this is going to give you 7 plus 9, which is 16, minus 5 minus 3 is going to be -8. You can see that it also gives you -2. So that means your slope of the line that we're given is -2. Now we need to ask ourselves a question, and the question is, what are the conditions for two lines to be parallel? So if two lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. That's what you need to know here. Slopes of two parallel lines are equal. Now, so that means the slope of the new line is going to be, we call this m, is going to be equal to 2, and it passes through a point 1, -2. So now, how can we get the equation of a line when we know the slope and one of the points? It's going to be y minus y1 equal to m x minus x1. So what do you do here? What is m, what is x, what is x1, and all of that stuff? So these y and x, they are just variables that will contribute to the equation, because remember, a standard equation is written in this form: y equal to mx plus b. So we have y1, which is going to be this right here. This is x1. So, and our slope is m. So therefore, let's go ahead and come up with the equation. Y minus y1 is going to be y minus -2. Your slope is actually -2, not 2. Slope is -2, and then x minus 1. So this is what we're going to figure out. And so let's create some more room. Too much here. Okay, so let's create some more room here. Y minus -2 is y plus 2. This is equal to -2x plus 2. So now we are going to subtract 2 from both sides. And so y equal to -2x plus 0. So this is the equation of the line that is parallel to a line that joins those 2 points together. Questions? Does everyone understand the process that I'm following to get to the equation of the line? So let me just recap. When you have a question like this, the first thing you want to do is find out the slope of the line that you're given. So we have a line that joins these 2 points together. So we want to find out the slope of that line. And then when we're done doing that, we're going to ask ourselves the question about the conditions for two lines to be parallel. And we've already said here that they have to be equal, they have to have the same slope for them to be parallel. And then now that we have a line, now that we have the slope and the point for the other line, we now have to find the equation of a line where you have a point and the slope. So that's all we're doing here. And then when you do that, the formula for that is y minus y1 equal to mx minus x1, where m is the slope and x1 and y1 represents coordinates of the points that you're given. And so you plug that in here, and then that should get you to your answer. All right. Are there any questions for me? Is there any topic you want us to look at? I'm open to that. Always remember that. Okay, for Algebra 2 students, any Algebra 2 students here? So the sum of a number x and its square root can be represented by the equation y equal to x plus square root of x. If y equal to 12, what is the value of x? If y is equal to 12, what is the value of x? So this is testing several things. It's testing your understanding of radical equations, how to solve radical equations. It's also it's going to test your understanding of quadratic equations, and also how to test your answers to make sure that the answers you get actually match up with the question. So we're going to start off with y is equal to x plus the square root of x. I know if you try a bunch of different numbers, you probably get to your answer, but I want to show you the math behind it. And we want to find out, we already know the value of y, so y is equal to x plus the square root of x. Question we want to find out from ourselves is the question we need to be asking is, what do I need to do next? I have x here, I have a radical, I have a non-radical value. What do I do? So I need to do something so that I get rid of this radical. The only way to get rid of this radical is to square x, is to square this value. But the problem is you cannot square this value and this value together on the same side, because you're going to end up with a radical as your middle term. So what you're going to do is you're going to subtract x from 12, and that's going to give you the square root of x. Now that you get to this point, now you can square both sides of the equation, and then you can get rid of the radical sign. So this is going to be square this, and we square this. So now let's go ahead and figure out 12 minus x squared. Let me show you a formula that I like to use. So a minus b squared is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So 12 minus x squared is now going to be 12 minus 2 times 12 times x plus x squared. This is going to give us the square root of x squared. So now let's bring this over here. So we have, this is going to be 12 squared actually. 12 squared. So this is 144. 2 multiplied by 12 is 24. So minus 24x plus x squared is equal to x. So the next step here is going to be grouping common terms together, because we need to express this as ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So we're going to rearrange all of this stuff so that we have the equation in this format. So we're going to now have x squared minus 24x minus x plus 144 equal to x minus x. So now we have x squared minus 25x plus 144 equal to 0. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so I'm going to use the quadratic formula here. It's a lot easier to work with. So the quadratic formula is x equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And then I'm going to look here. I see a equal to 1, b is equal to negative 25, and then c is equal to 144. Now I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to show you the other method. We can use that too, but let's go ahead and start with this and then we'll look at the other method. So this is going to give us negative 25 plus or minus the square root of b squared is the negative 25 squared minus 4 times 1 times 144 divided by 2a, 2 multiplied by 1. So this is going to give us 25 plus or minus negative 25 squared is 625, and 4 multiplied by 144 is 576, and we divide this by 2. So we now have negative 25 plus or minus, actually it's 25, not negative 25, is 25 plus or minus the square root of 49 divided by 2, which is 25 plus or minus 7 divided by 2. So now we have two different answers. We have 25 plus 7 divided by 2, which is going to give us 25 plus 7 is 32 divided by 2. We have 16. This is going to be 16. The other choice we have is 25 minus 7 divided by 2, which is going to give you 18 divided by 2, which is going to give you 9. So now, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you have two answers, but don't do that. Here's what you want to do. The question started off with the square root of x, rather x plus the square root of x equal to 12. So now we're going to try both of them and see which one actually satisfies our answer. Let's start with 16. 16 plus the square root of 16 is 16 plus 4, which is equal to 20. So 16 is not a good answer. Now we're going to try 9. 9 plus the square root of 9 is equal to 9 plus 3, which is equal to 12. So therefore, your valid answer for x is 9. So whenever you have a problem like this, always go back to check. Go back to check against this your question, the equation you're given at the beginning of the question, to make sure that both your answers satisfy that equation. Otherwise, it's easy to get the wrong answer. This is what in math we call this extraneous answers. So this is an answer that is mathematically correct from what we've done, but is wrong when we actually replace that in the question. So take note of that. You will see things like this in this is going to show up a lot in questions like this with radicals. You're going to see that also when you're dealing with questions that have to do with logarithms. This is for Algebra 2 students. You'll also see this a lot when you're dealing with absolute values. Absolute values. So this is quite common, especially when you're dealing with inequalities. So take note of extraneous solutions, and I think you should be good in the long run. And let's see, do we have anyone here? Oh, Anastasia, good try. It's square root of x is 3, so x is going to be 3 squared, which is going to give you 9. All right, I have another question for Algebra 2 students, I think. Let's see, we have about 15 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Are there any topics that you would like me to review? We have 15 minutes and I have 2 puzzles for you. And I think that should be it. We have 15 more minutes. And if you don't have any questions, we'll go ahead to our puzzle. I have an Algebra 2 question, but I don't think we have enough. I don't think there's, at least I don't see anyone here who has indicated that they're taking Algebra 2. But if I'm wrong, let me know and then I can come back to it, to the last question that I have. Okay, so the next one here, we have a puzzle. So here we have a equal to 11 parenthesis 242 121. And b is equal to 14 parenthesis 392 and then 196. Then what is the missing number? if c equal to 13, parenthesis, question mark, 169. What is the missing number? If we have some more time, I'm going to try a puzzle I gave to the K to 7 students yesterday and see how you guys do with that, if we have a little bit of time after. So let's see, who has an answer? I'll give you a bit of time. $338. Wow, wonderful, Lester. That's good. That's good. Any other answers? Okay, so what we're doing here is 11 squared is equal to 121. 121 multiplied by 2 is 242. 364. Ini, take a look again. Thanks for trying. Take a look again. So here you have 14 squared equal to 196. 196 multiplied by 2 is equal to 392. Okay, good, good. And now the final one is 13 squared is equal to 169. 169 multiplied by 2 is 338. So that is correct. I imagine, Ayo, thank you for joining. I imagine that's you. Okay, so let's look at one more quiz, and I'm gonna, if you guys get this one, or actually after this one, I'm going to try something I gave to the elementary school to 7th grade students yesterday, and I want to check something with you all, because I was told it was too easy, it was too difficult. So I want to see what you guys think about that. So we have this. This is a wheel of numbers. You can also look at it as a pie chart, and we're trying to find out the missing values. We want to find out the missing value here in this pie. The missing value for the slice of pizza. Okay, good try, good try. 10, let's see, could it be 10? 10, okay. Can you explain how you got to 10? I want to actually kind of see your reasoning. I'd like to see your reasoning on that, because I'm intrigued by that. -3 plus 7. -3 plus 7, that should give you 4. Okay, I'm following. Okay, okay, that was a guess. All right. Six. Wow, that's good. Ayo, that's good. That is good. Impressive. How did you get six? I'm actually curious about your approach because I want to see if it's the same way I thought about it. But so, Ayo, how did you get six? It's the plus six. Okay. Ini, I'm curious. I'm curious about the way you thought about it. That method. Fifteen minus 4, 11, 17. 17 minus 11, 6. That's interesting. That's interesting. 15 minus. Okay. That is very interesting. 15 plus 2, 17. 4 plus 2. Oh, I like that. I didn't think about that actually. 8 plus 2, 10. 4 plus 2, 6. Okay, that's impressive. I like that. I like the way you all are thinking about it. That's really good. Let me show you how I got to mine. 6 is the answer. 6 is the answer. But let me show you how I got to it. So I'm looking at each of these right here, 15 and 4. 15 minus 4 is going to give you 11. So I need to find out what a number that I subtract from 17 to give me 11. That's going to give you 6. The other way you can look at this also is 15 minus 8 is 7. 13 minus a number is 7, so it's going to give you 6. 13 minus 10 is 3. 11 minus 8 is 3. So all I'm doing here is I'm assigning different numbers to each of the lines. And that's how I got to my answer. So that's correct. So I have one that I want to try with you all in our last few minutes together. So I have a situation where there are 2 sons and 2 fathers. All of them share 3 eggs, and each person gets an egg. Each person gets 1 egg. How is this possible? How is this possible? So I have 2 sons and 2 fathers, and I have 3 eggs. Each person gets an egg. How is this? How can this be possible? How is this possible? When you have 2 sons and 2 fathers, that looks like it's 4. 4 people. That looks like we should have 4 people. And we have 3 eggs. And each person gets an egg. How can we make this happen? Any ideas? I like that. Because I am one of the fathers. Okay, okay, I like that. Maybe, okay. That's impressive. I like that. I like the way you guys think. It's good. Any other person think of a situation that would make this possible? Anything else that would make this possible? Yes, sir, Yemi. Okay. So, since we have 3 minutes to go, let me show you exactly what is happening. So, so we have a father, we have a son. First assumption you can make is that they're all part of the same family. They're all from the same family. I'm going to also introduce a grandfather who is also a father. Is a type of father. So guess what's happening here? This you have a son here, so that is one son. You have a father here, so it's a father here and also a son. And then you have a grandfather who is a father. So how many fathers do you have? 2 fathers and 2 sons. Each of them gets 1 egg. That is the clue. So you have a grandfather, you have a father and a son. The father plays 2 roles. It's a father and a son. And the son plays 1 role, the grandfather plays 1 role. And the father, even though he plays 2 roles, gets only 1 egg. That is how this is possible. All right. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate your time. It's been a good week. I'm wishing you the best of the weekend. I look forward to having you again next week. Be blessed and stay safe. Thanks for joining once again. Bye for now. Feel free to please go ahead and please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that whenever we have any new topics, you get notified. Also, when we have our sessions scheduled, you also get a notification that we're about to go live. I look forward to hanging out with you guys again next week. Bye. Have a blessed weekend.